meeting to order. Is there any citizens communication?
No.
Did everyone have the chance to look over the minutes from last month's meeting?
Yes, ma'am.
Any questions? Do we have a motion for approval?
I'll make a motion to approve.
And a second?
Second?
Minutes approved. That takes us to our discussion regarding board, commission, and committee policy and procedure.
Good evening, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Trista. I'm the city secretary. I am making my rounds yearly now to every board to run through this training. A lot of this will be review, so bear with me as we go through it. I often take some of these trainings every year myself. There's a lot of information, and it's easy to forget throughout the year. There is going to be a section that I run through much more quickly than I usually do. That's going to be the Code of Conduct section. In one of your handouts, there's the Board and Commission handbook. There's a section in there that is the resolution for Code of Conduct. If there's any board I can rely on to read what I give you, it's you guys. Read through the Code of Conduct. Of course, if you have any questions, let me know. I'll hit some highlights, but I'm not going to spend as much time on it as I perhaps often do. So I'm going to start in general. City of Pflugerville, we're a home rule city, council manager form of government. So the council determines policy, the city manager performs that policy in operations and conducts all of the rest of those roles. Your role is whatever the council deems it to be. So the library board has been in existence for quite some time, so it's well established. You have policies. They can create any board they want to create based on what they believe to be necessary, and then those functions for each board are set out in the governing documents, whatever document created it, or the ordinance or resolution, and then it's further specified through any policies that a specific board has. Code of Conduct, again, you have it in your packet. This was adopted by resolution by council. This applies to both council members and board and commission members, so they adopted their own code of conduct as well. Most of the code of conduct is going to be very straightforward. We just wanted to make sure we had it all typed out and approved so that we're all on the same page and we all agree to the same thing. General respect for process, and that process is going to be basically the staff process with the agenda and then how we go through. Each board has its own process. So just respect that process. We, of course, are always open to recommendations and ideas. Conduct business in open. I'm going to hit that here in a minute. The sharing relevant information I want to hit. If you know something that is relevant to an action or discussion the board is going to have, please share that with the board. Share that with Jennifer so that she can share it with the board, whatever it may be. We're here for the good of everybody, and if you know something, we should all know it. Conflicts of interest. I'm going to sit quietly for a second because it's state law. All I could do is read you this slide. I'm not going to do that. You have the slides printed out as well. If you feel you may have a conflict of interest, there is a form to fill out for me to receive. When that conflict of interest item comes up on the agenda, you will have to remove yourself from any discussion or action, and then once everything's done, you can come back in. This is a very legal specific definition. If you have a question about whether or not there is a conflict of interest, I'm going to direct you to this and ask you these statements in the form of a question. I cannot provide much of a recommendation because it's for you personally, but happy to answer questions if you feel something may come up for that. Gifts and favors. So the rule is nothing over $50. The less specific rule is intent of the gift. So if you are offered a gift and you believe it to be someone trying to get something from you as a library board member, say no thank you. We're concerned about, we don't want any interpretation of any sort of special favors to be given, so be mindful. If you're not sure, just say no thank you. We're going to move pretty much forward on this. If the news media ever wants to talk to you, we have a fantastic and robust communications team. Redirect them to them. If you have been identified as a spokesperson for the library board, our communications department will work with you on that to help you. We have a relationship with all the local news media, so we're on that. Just redirect them over to our communications department if they reach out to you individually. This independent section, that's specifically for council. You are to be acting independently from city council, so that this is them saying they're not going to come and try to unduly influence anything that you all do as the library board. I know I read through that very quickly. Read through that code of conduct. If you have any questions, any clarifying things that you need, let me know. Always happy to discuss. I moved through that so that I could spend more time on this. Open Meetings Act is all meetings of a governmental body have to be held in the open and in public. So we can define what a governmental body is. We can get really nitpicky about all the rules and regulations and what is considered a governmental body, what's considered a quasi-judicial body. City of Pflugerville has decided every single board and commission is considered a governmental body because of the work that you do, and whether you provide recommendations to city council or, for example, Planning and Zoning Commission takes action and then that action gets pushed up to the city council. Regardless, you are a governmental body. So what this means is that you are required to follow this government code, the Open Meetings Act from the government code. Everything has to be done in a public meeting. All votes, deliberations, decisions have to be done in public. So that's great, but what is a meeting? A meeting is any time a quorum is present to discuss public business. And that even that word discuss is kind of gray. You can not say a single word. And if this was the only item on tonight's agenda, this is still a public meeting. You can sit there silently, but if you're there as a quorum and it is city business in some way or form, that's a meeting, which is why we have these agendas that you see every single time. Anytime there's a meeting, we are required to post this notice within 72 hours, at least 72 hours before the start of the meeting. It has to include date, time, place, subject matters, and it has to be publicly posted. We post it on our website and we post it on the bulletin board outside of City Hall. That 72 hours is incredibly strict. If I miss it by 30 minutes, we have to adjust. We have to push the meeting start time by an hour would be what I would do. Luckily, we have a very good system down and this hasn't happened in a very long time. But if something gets missed, a meeting will get canceled. We cannot hold a meeting if an agenda has not been correctly posted. Which, again, if that happens, we push it a day, right? We readjust, we do what we can. The agenda items have to be specific enough so that the general public knows what the discussions are for. The other side of that is it can't be so specific that you don't get a chance to have a robust discussion. So it's that line of making sure that we are clear to the public, but also allowing you all the chance and opportunity to fully discuss what needs to be discussed. If you get too linear and you start to walk outside that very specific sentence we might put, you have to cut off the conversation. So it's an art sometimes. So there's two different kinds of sessions. One is an open session. This is what we're in right now. Anyone can walk in, anyone can attend and watch and listen. You have to be present in the room. Minutes are kept. The minutes are public record. They're permanent public record. The recordings we do are for 2 years. So after 2 years, this recording no longer exists. The other option is the executive session. These I will say, will probably never have to worry about. These are very specifically defined on what can be held in executive session. That's a closed session where the public is not allowed to hear or listen. And this is a lot of times going to be consultation with attorney, discussion about real estate, things like that, where if it's held out in the open, there can be some issues on security or confidentiality. However, no one can take action in an executive session. So for those of you who have experienced council meetings, they will read the item, go in executive session, be back there for however long they're going to be back there for. They'll come back into open session, and then if they need to take action, they'll do it there. Any action in executive session is not an official action. There are some exceptions to meetings. If there is a quorum present at a social function that's not related to the library board, that's not a meeting. If you are attending a regional or state workshop or conference, that's not going to be considered a meeting. However, this last bullet point's important. Just because you're together at a workshop or at a city event or whatever the case may be, you don't get to take any formal action or have any formal discussions. So I always caution, if you notice that there's a quorum of you around, be the person to break that quorum, go adjust, split up into groups, and hang out that way. Again, it's about intent and about appearance. We don't want it to have an appearance that there's any sort of, walking quorum or anything like that. But if you're all in the same place because there's a city event or there's a workshop or conference, great, hang out. Just be careful about talking city business. Any questions about the Open Meetings Act? Okay. Public Information Act. This is where I spend the majority of my time. So any record that is created in the transaction of government business, it's considered a government record. This is regardless of the format, regardless of where it is. Anyone can ask for anything for an open records request, and then we go through the process of determining what's responsive, determining what can be released, what can't be released, and then going all through the steps through that. So no matter where that information is held, whether it's on a personal device, a government device, a piece of paper sitting in your car, if it's government record, it still counts. Why does this matter for you? Because if I get an open records request asking for something that the library board has done, I may be reaching out to you to say, hey, do you have any government business? I'm going to go through all the rest of this. I like to start here before I scare people off. There are ways to avoid what I'm about to talk about. Anything you receive from city staff has a copy of. So you don't need to worry about that. We already have it. Any emails to city staff has. You don't need to worry about that. If you are emailing someone about library board business that is not on city staff, copy city staff. Then we'll have it. You don't have to worry about it at all. You want to avoid, yes?
Just for clarification, you're city staff, right?
I am.
Jennifer is
Yeah.
city staff, yes.
Just check.
Avoid texting for city business. And that doesn't mean don't text if it's like, hey, I'll be there in 10 minutes, or hey, where are you? Board meeting's about to start, are you coming in? That's fine. But if you start getting into some library policy discussion on text, move that over into email and copy Jennifer. And then you never have to worry about it. So this temporary custodians, that's what you are called if you are a holder of government record on a non-government device. So there are times where I'm a temporary custodian because I have something at home that I'm working on, but it's not, right, some piece of paper or something that I'm working on for work, and then I need to bring it back to work and put it in my file cabinet when I'm done with it. For open records requests, if something does come up that says I want all communication about this item that the library board saw, what I will do is I will reach out to all of you individually and let you know what they're looking for and ask if you have anything that is not already in Jennifer's email. And if you say no, I will say, great, here's a form, sign that to say, yes, I've looked. If you say yes, I'll need a copy of it. That copy will look like forwarding the emails. It'll be screenshots of text if that's the case. I will never take a personal device from you. I will just ask you to send me the information. We do have a very strict deadline on open records requests, so if you do see that from me, I'm going to ask for you to prioritize that so we have time to get it all processed through and get it back out within our 10 business day requirement. I moved past that. So it's kind of a little final wrap up. So not everything has to be kept forever, right? We have a retention schedule that says when we can delete things, when we can move things over to a different savings area. So Texas State Library and Archives Commission, or TSLAC, is who creates that local government retention code. And on there it lists pretty much every record we could possibly have as a local government and how long we have to keep it. That is a minimum requirement, not a maximum requirement. So if we have something that has a 2-year retention, but we want to keep it for 4, great, we can. We just continue to be responsible for it. For those of you who will at some point, everyone, at some point when you leave the board, If you have anything of government record, just make sure you get that over to Jennifer before you leave the board. Otherwise, I have your contact information. I'll be calling you and say, hey, remember when you were on that board 2 years ago? Do you have anything? I like to put this in here just as a kind of a general reminder of emails. Keep city staff copied all the time. How long do I have to keep an email? It depends on what the email is. Some emails are, you don't have to keep it at all, and I can delete them today. Some emails are permanent record. It all depends on the content. So that's why I say just keep city staff copied, because then I can help go through any of their stuff ever so quickly, and we can help review that. Copy city staff. That is, I think, the fastest I've gone through that presentation. Do y'all have any questions for me? If you ever do, please feel free to reach out. I'm happy to talk about rules. I love rules. And you'll see me every year around this time.
You're non-opposing.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Next item is discussion regarding the library director report.
Okay, your packet's all stapled together this time, nice and neat. So we have our regular stats here, but last month we talked about, and it's reflected this month too, that we see our circulation stats are going down a little bit. So I was curious as to whether or not that had to do with our not having the automatic authors anymore. And it apparently does not, because if you look at the third page of stats, these are our reserves over the past year, and there's not a significant change here. If you look at the expired and the deleted reserves, that's where we would have those reserves that were not picked up or whatever for the automatic authors, and it's not significant. So it's probably just a fluctuation. We'll wait and see over the next couple of months and see if it picks back up. Our big months for getting books in, because that's the months that they are published, are in the spring. So we'll be getting a lot of new things in the spring, and hopefully that'll help pick up our stats. Does anybody have any questions on those?
What does preempted mean on this?
Preempted, that is a very good question, because it took me a minute to try and figure that out. I believe that's when somebody calls and says, we don't want this reserve.
Okay.
And just take it off.
Okay.
So moving on to the program stats, and this was a request from Matt, just out of curiosity, he wanted to see the program stats broken down by age group. So when you look at the stats to the left, you'll see the age group. January, where it says hashtag January 2023, that's the number of programs that we did. And then right next to that's the attendance. And then you'll see this year, January, number of programs in attendance. Our attendance is through the roof, and I'm glad to see that, because it's getting up close to pre-pandemic levels. It's not quite there yet, but it is getting close. So I probably won't break it out to this degree every month, just because of the time involved, but I do report this to the state library every year. Their categories are slightly different than this. Their categories are like ages 6 to 9, and but it's very similar. But I do submit a report to the state library every year. If you are interested in seeing past reports, they're available for public review at the Texas State Library and Archives Commission's website. They only have up to 2021 published, because they won't publish 22 until they receive everybody's 23 report. Part of that is because you find mistakes in the next year's report from the previous year's report, so you want to make those adjustments.
Would
Yeah.
this be like Winterfest? Would that be included in this?
Yes, Winterfest is included in that. It would be under, I think that one's under all ages.
So, but this year there were way more than 60 people, right?
60, I'm sorry.
Just, so if it was all ages, all
The
ages.
attendance?
The attendance was.
Wasn't it
it
like
says-
2,000 or something?
Oh, I see. No, it was not 2,000, and probably then Winterfest is going to be included in the 5 to 8s or the 0 to 5s, but I'd have to check. Winterfest was in January, Daniel?
Yeah, it's probably in the 0 to 5s looking at that number.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
yeah, the programmers put it where they feel that's the right
The
age.
most, yeah.
So, and then I pick it up from them. No, 2,000 is going to be things like Comic-Con. That's where we get the,
That's what I was thinking.
yeah. So that's going to be in September.
Because I got the numbers completely wrong last time I talked about it, so I
Oh.
had 2,000.
I get them wrong a lot
It
too.
was
That's why I
Comic-Con.
have other people to help me. Yeah, our other two well, we have a lot of large events. The next one coming up is Pet Fest, so that's going to be in March, and I love it. And then after that, it will be Maker Fest, which kicks off our summer reading program. And then we have LibCon, which is our Comic-Con, and that's in September. And those are our biggest draws. Yes.
Do you give it to the state library because of funding purposes or for record keeping, or why do you give it to them?
The state library requires that we report back for accreditation, so we have to meet certain standards for them to give us accreditation, which means that we are then eligible for certain grants and that sort of thing, yeah. And to participate in things like interlibrary loan and the TechShare databases, and et cetera.
Between the two January numbers, is there a reason there was such a big drop in the programming for 5 to 18-year-olds?
Same
It's
question
like
I had.
0 to 5 is the same, be it 18 and up. The adult programming is roughly the same, but there's big drop-offs for essentially the children's portion.
I'm not sure.
So like there's 22 and then
Uh-huh.
7, and then 16 down to 6. and
Oh,
28 to
I
12.
see what you're talking about, the number of
Yeah, the
programs.
number of programs. Is that just a staffing issue or?
No, I mean, we did have a staff change during that time between 23 and 24, but ordinarily those 5 to 8s and 8 to 12s are in school. And so everybody's back in school now, and we don't do as many programs for them because of that. But we're still getting good numbers, well, decent numbers on that.
So could the variance be because in January 2023, we still had more COVID kids?
It could be, but also it could just be that they decided to cut down on the number of programs because they weren't getting as much attendance from that age group due to them being in school, being in sports, et cetera. We do have homeschool kids though, but we do a special homeschool club type thing for them that's split out into the different ages too. And also we do have a different youth librarian now, and so she's going to have different ideas and different programming than our previous youth librarian would.
Thank you for putting this information together.
Yeah, and I can do this quarterly. I just, if you want it monthly, I might lose my mind, but I'm happy to provide it quarterly if you guys want, or if you just want it yearly. Like when I do, what I kind of do at the end of the fiscal year, provide an overall report on the library. If you want it broken down to this level, I can do that because I have to report it to the state anyway. So,
I'd suggest semi-annually would be great, twice a year.
twice a year, okay. So like January and then maybe
July?
July, okay. Has everybody got their questions answered as the best I
Who
can?
are the partner groups?
Partner groups are going to be the Heritage House partners that are the citizen group that sort of oversees the Heritage House Museum, but also you guys are a partner group. So that's going to be Library Board, Friends of the Library, Heritage House partners, and I think that, the Quilters. And we used to have American Legion too, but they don't meet here anymore. But it's groups that work with us either in something related to the library. Any questions on the stats? Okay. If you haven't seen it, the new nursing pod is in the children's area. And Larissa did the ribbon cutting for us, so we have that in here. We also today got our book locker, so that is out in front of the library. It looks amazing. Tiara designed it. She designed the wrap that's on the book locker. And tomorrow we get training on it, so it's gonna happen. I didn't do a ribbon cutting on that one because I wasn't sure when it would actually get here. So, and that's all I have.
You had mentioned before about like not a ribbon cutting, but a ceremony for the new art outside. Is that still, are we?
It's still being talked about with the city's public art person. We have a tentative date scheduled. So hopefully will be like at the end of May.
Okay.
What we're aiming for, but that could change. So.
Cool.
The Public Works Department came out today to look at the site and discuss the landscaping they're putting in.
Great.
Take care of some of the logistics.
Kind of under the library director's report, is the Texas Library Convention coming up again?
Yes, the TLA, Texas Library Association's annual conference is in April. It's going to be in San Antonio, I think, this year. It rotates, so last year it was in Austin, so you guys got to go. It's in San Antonio this year. I think it goes to, it's either Houston or Dallas or Fort Worth.
I don't know that.
Someplace else after that, and then it comes back to Austin. We do have a number of people on staff that will be presenting during TLA. And then after that, in June, some of us will be going to ALA in San Diego, which is the American Library Association. Last month, we had two, and it's in the report, two of our librarians who presented at ALA Live Learn X, which is the midwinter meeting for the American Library Association. So we're proud of them for that.
Is there any opportunity for board members to go to TLA again this year or no?
This year, we wouldn't be able to do housing and stuff, so we generally don't if it's out of town. I mean, if y'all want to, I can see about getting passes, but.
I mean, I'd like to go. I wouldn't need housing.
Okay. Let me look into that and get back with you guys.
When staff members present at these conferences, is it competitive where they have to apply for the opportunity, or do they just sign up and do it?
Now, you do submit a proposal, and then it depends on what the topic is. It's overseen by different committees, and then they'll choose what programs they want for the conference. So it is competitive, I guess, in that sense.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other questions? Okay, then we can move on to our next topic, which is the report from the Friends of the Pflugerville Library.
Happy Valentine's Day, Library Board. I am not good at this, so again, I've written it out. I'm going to read through it, and I'll take questions at the end. I'm Aaron Millis, Friends of the Pflugerville Library Board member. Our last Friends Board meeting was on January 16th, and we've been busy little bees since then. We've started receiving requests for project funding for the new year, fulfilling all so far. Allocations for programs related to Black History Month, Teen Art Contest, Pet Fest, and the Adult Romance Reader Social were made. The first book sale of the year was on January 18th, and to say we considered it a success would be an understatement. Donations for the sale were not quite double of the last sale of 2023, which is great. We sold additional hats and other swag items during the sale, which were received favorably. If you want a hat, get it now. We've only got 10 left. The most exciting number for me, though, was we had 20 new memberships during the sale. We typically see 2 to 5 during most book sales. These could be folks who only want to take advantage of the 5 free books during every book sale, but chances are good we'll see more involvement from at least a few of those, and likely renewals in membership in the following years. So very exciting for us on that one. All told, this means we saw a 40% increase in income from compared to the November sale. We're not going to see that on the next one, but we're still happy about it. Next book sale, it's going to be on Friday, March 22nd from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., which we did move from the original date to avoid overlap with the library's role as a polling location for the upcoming primaries. For this next sale, I intend to have an assortment of highly collectible buttons added to the swag options, and I've given each of you one of the little heart buttons as a sample, just so you can check out the things we're doing. Feel free to come by after the board meeting if you want to check out some of the others, or if you have suggestions. We're making these as people come up with them. During the last Friends board meeting, the new website was presented with a ridiculous promo video along with a mundane PowerPoint, and the board approved the content of the site and chose a hosting provider. The site went live at friendsofthepflugervillelibrary.org in the last week of January. We finished the transition of email to using that domain and have made all the assorted DKIM, DMARC, SPF changes, don't worry about the acronyms, to improve mail deliverability for our newsletter, which should have gone out using the new address a few weeks ago. If any of you get the newsletter, hopefully you saw it and noticed the new address. Which that brings me to the effort I'm most excited about. I mentioned during the last library board meeting that the Friends are participating in the Amplify Austin fundraising event for the first time this year. We're targeting the 24-hour giving period of March 6th, 6 p.m. through March 7th, 6 p.m., but we've already completed the profile creation and are live today on the Amplify Austin site, and we've already benefited from an early giver. We have postings up in Buy the Book. They look like this, that has a QR code that takes you to our profile and just describes the event briefly. If you guys would like any of these or know someplace these could be posted, please see me afterwards. I'm happy to provide them for you. All right. And if you'd like a digital copy, I also have those. So if you have Slack channel, some corporate thing that you would like to present us with, I can get that to you too. Donations on Amplify Austin can be as little as $5, and the donators have the option of covering all platform fees so that we see every penny. We'll be promoting this more heavily as the date draws near with social media, website, newsletter pushes. There are other Pflugerville groups that are participating this year too. Feel free to use the search on the Amplify Austin site, and you'll be able to find the Friends of the Pflugerville Animal Shelter, Circle of Hope, two of my favorites, and I have personal experience with. The whole idea behind Amplify is live here, give here. So do push it if you can, whether it's for us or not. Make it for us. All right, so our next board meeting for the Friends is next week. It's on February 20th at 4 p.m. here in the library. It's open to all Friends members. And that's pretty much all I've got. I appreciate you guys letting me give the report. Do any of you have any questions, concerns, communications you'd like me to bring back to the Friends?
Great work
Ready?
on the sale and getting new members.
I mean, I'm hoping Amplify comes through. I mean, we're not going to lose money on it, but there's chances of really big fundraising efforts. So I have high hopes.
And next we have our student liaison report from Lucas.
I wasn't quite sure what I should include in my report. I was told that I was going to be emailed the responsibilities that I would have and what I should include, but I never received that email, so I'm not sure.
It's actually on the application. It's just a report back, but I'll get with you after.
Okay.
It's fine.
How's your school going? I mean, how's do you hang out in the library at all?
Yeah. School is going good.
Do they have any library events at the school?
At school, it's mostly just the tutorials that they hold at school, and that's about it. And after school academy is what they have.
And you're at Hendrickson?
Yes.
Do they have like study hall there? Do you guys do like instead of doing the elective, do you just go to the library do homework?
No, we actually don't have study halls. So yeah.
Man,
Have you
that
met your
subject
librarian
dies.
over there?
I haven't met the new one yet. We got a new one. So
Okay, cool. I'll make an outline for you
okay.
and just send it to you.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem. We actually had that talk that it is a little vague, what we have our student liaisons do. So, yeah, I'll do an outline. And that might be helpful in the future for the other kids too.
Okay. Moving on to discuss and consider action of library policies, section 1, section 2, so governance and library guests.
Okay, so I sent it out to you guys. This is what we work on this every year for our new people. Doesn't necessarily mean we're going to make changes, but we may. I read through it this year. Well, last year we added the Library Bill of Rights and the Freedom to Read statement, and this year the board formally supported that. So that's in there. Our mission statement has not changed unless you guys feel very strongly that you want it to change. And then it goes into a little bit of an explanation of the library board and their members and when we meet. The ordinances and statutes, legal actually advised that we just put the link in there to the city's ordinances rather than trying to keep up with it because it changes so frequently. So that's what we have under there. And then, and I'm just going to go through this and then we can have discussions about it. So after that, we talk about our guests. Last year, we did make some changes on this last year. We changed, we added the truancy paragraphs in here, or the section on truancy, because we do have kids that skip school and they come to the library, but we also have a lot of kids that are homeschooled or have 0 hour or are in a work-study program. We have a kid that comes, I believe he's in culinary school, so he comes to the library, and you might see him here and think, why are you skipping school? Well, he's not. He actually is legitimately here. And then it goes on to describe our public computer use. We do allow anybody that comes in to use a public computer. You do not have to have a library card. And we do that because all of the other resources can be used in-house. So why not the computers also? Kids, though, do have to have a parent or guardian with them to get a guest pass. And then our guest privacy policies have not changed a lot. We do have something in here about the third-party service providers, so that's going to be our e-resources. Some of them do collect some information. When we get a new e-resource, we have a series of questions that we ask them, and part of that is what data do you collect and what do you do with it? So we're pretty strict about that, and we still want our guests to be informed, though, with anything. It should just be a matter of practice. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning.
I noticed something on the mission statement, actually.
Uh-huh.
So, and correct me if I'm wrong, so library staff should be singular, joyfully engages, inspires, informs, and entertains? Instead, because there's an S on informs and entertains, but not on engage and inspire. Shouldn't it be engages, inspires, informs, and entertains?
I think it should be engage, inspire, inform, no S on the inform, and entertain.
Well, that's the question, is library staff singular or plural?
Oh, are we looking at it as, yeah, I don't
So
know.
wouldn't it be singular in that sense?
Do we
Anybody?
have
I
Holly?
think staff is a plural term.
Yeah,
So
So then it would be,
take the S off.
Engage.
and-
Take the
I would
S
take
off.
the S off.
Yeah,
They would all be singular and plural.
okay.
yeah, okay, good catch.
Number one, the first sentence of the library Bill of Rights is kind of like a run-on sentence. It's got 3 separate sentences. Is that something we gathered from somewhere else, or did we create that?
From so far.
And this. Technically, it should be period. That the basic policy of the library should.
Oh, yeah, that's actually from ALA, but it's our set of policies, so we can change it.
Suggest make 3 separate sentences.
Okay.
is that that's not the actual freedom to read statement. That's just
No, it's
okay.
just what the
Okay.
ALA has as an
That-
intro
then
to.
that's fine with me.
Yeah. Okay, So y'all are good with that being 3 separate sentences? Okay.
Or,
Or just taking out the,
and,
Yeah, the
Yeah,
ands.
and yeah, that's a better idea.
Board Member Eddie just pointed out that it says freedom to read ought the American
Maybe
libraries.
it needs to be at, or
Of.
It should be a, which the freedom to read statement is actually being revised this year, but it's not going to happen. It all has to be voted on, so it's a long process. So that is something that we'll have to look at again when they've done the revision to it. Okay.
Do any of the guest policies extend to the parking lot? Do we have anything in here about the parking lot?
We don't. It should be covered under library grounds. Do we not say library grounds? Or city property?
library facilities.
There's something about using materials on the premises, but
Should we add grounds then, library facility and grounds?
I just didn't know, because I know you guys had a couple fights in the parking lot last year that you had to break up. If you-
Last year, try last week.
Yeah, if you wanted that, something there to protect the
Um,
library.
I mean, it's not gonna hurt to put it in,
Okay.
yeah. We do have just, and because some people might wonder, because of the fights that you mentioned, we do have PD that comes by now on close control, and just pops in once in a while, so.
Do we have cameras in the parking lot?
We are getting them. We have cameras in the building, but we actually are working with PD to do some outdoor, and also the lights are gonna get fixed.
Nice.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask about that.
Yeah, it's dark out there. There was, I don't know all the technical reasons why the lights, why it was so difficult, but apparently they have now resolved the issue, and they're gonna be putting the lights in, and cameras are coming shortly. I don't have in here, I don't think. Under volunteers, we do have teen volunteers, but we require that they be at least age 16. Not our board volunteers, but our regular volunteers that are working with the public, because they're working with the public, and that we want to make sure that we have mature students who are dealing with them. Does the board feel like that is something that needs to be included in the volunteer policy, just that at least age 16? So right now, we're doing it as a procedure and not really a policy.
Say the minimum age to be a volunteer at 16. The minimum age to act as a volunteer at the Pflugerville Library is 16 years old.
Is that true of all events?
No, I mean, if it's a one-time thing, or then we, like, Lucas is not 16 yet, but he's volunteering in a different capacity. This is more volunteering where they're going to be in possibly by themselves in isolated areas of the library, maybe shelving and that sort of thing. So that's when we like to have an older student who, and we try and do our teens in pairs when we allow them to volunteer.
Could we just say something about, like, there are age limitations depending on the role, so then it's still covering the ground that we can set those standards, but we're not limiting ourselves to,
We could
you would
say,
have to be
um,
16.
Minimum age may apply.
Yeah.
And then if people want to get into it, into the weeds with that, we can.
Perfect.
We used to let 14 and up volunteer here, but often they're not confident enough at that age to let staff know that somebody's bothering them or what have you. So 16 and up.
Since we have something in here about the public computers being available to anyone without the library card, will the pods, the different kinds of pods we're hoping to get, also be that same?
I think we would have to, since I've been toying with the idea of making it reservation only or first come, first serve. I've got to, and I need to do this fast too, because they're coming, the pods are coming. I need to decide, and I'm glad you brought that up. Is this something that I'm going to require them to make a reservation like they would for any of the other rooms? Because people get a real ownership over space. We definitely are gonna have to limit the time in there so everybody can have opportunity for it. In some way, we're gonna have to limit it. So I may, starting off, try a first come, first serve, but if that proves problematic, I may need to go to a reservation system. In which case, hopefully would have our library calendar up by then and they could do it online and it wouldn't require a library card. So, long way to answer your question. That's a good point. No, because we don't require it for the other spaces.
Would we need to address that here, or,
Um,
because I know the public computer
I
statement kind of
think-
covers more than just that.
I think when we get to the meeting rooms, I think that's where the pods will come into play. And thank you also for reminding me that I need to put that in. So, yeah. I'm gonna write myself a note that I will lose, and then I'll have to ask Daniel. And pod stuff.
If you do the reservation system, would it be where they just come to the library and put their name on a list?
They could, well, it gets, we would have to do one or the other. Either they would physically have to come here and put their name on the list, or it needs to be online. They could call and we could put it online for them, but we couldn't do half and half because then the logistics of making sure that they mesh would be a nightmare for our staff, because they'll be the ones dealing with it. So I think probably best option would be to treat them like a meeting room. If they are not currently reserved, it's first come, first serve. But you can reserve it by either calling the library or going online. We are getting our new library calendar software. Right now, we have the contract, we're getting trained on it and everything, but right now, we're building out the taxonomies and all of the rules and, age groups and disclaimers and all of that into the calendar system. So we are gonna roll that out probably in, did we say May? Yeah, I think it's May because we don't have a lot of programs in May.
Yeah.
So that'll be rolled out. And that's gonna be where people can go and reserve a room or see, sign up for a program or something like that. We have DIMCO right now, and you are well aware of what a nightmare DIMCO is. And they are actually not going to offer that calendar service anymore. So we're now going with LibCal, which is...
No, we know why.
Yeah, because it's terrible. Yeah. So LibCal, it was created by librarians for librarians, so we're pretty excited about that. And that'll be in May.
In 2.6 at the bottom, the very last bullet, I think in most of the cases I've seen before, library director has been lowercase, but you have director capitalized there.
Okay,
So you can just take that out.
no problem. What paragraph is it in?
It's the very last bullet in 2.6.
Got it. Thank you.
something we need to approve, or?
We take action tonight.
I think you can take action at the end to approve the entire policy
Okay.
when we're done going through them. And it usually doesn't take very long to go through them. We will have some larger changes coming, as I said, with, when we get to meeting rooms and et cetera.
Any other comments before we move on? So it takes us to our last item, which is discuss and consider action regarding opportunities for board engagement.
That was you, Matt.
This is me?
Yeah.
So when we reapplied for the board and went to the city council meeting, the city council asked the returning members what we were most proud of, or what contribution did we value the most that we participated in over the past year of our session. And we really don't have a lot of claim to things that happen here. You know, Jennifer does a great job, and she's very open about receiving feedback and anything like that. But I wanted to just offer the opportunity to the board, like if you guys were thinking of specific things like that we would want to introduce to Jennifer and say, hey, I've been thinking about this for the library. What do we think about this? And making it an agenda item just for your consideration, not to move on or anything like that, but just if we wanted to kind of take ownership of something to present to the library director.
Like a recommendation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just an idea.
Did you tell them about your puzzle swap? Because you did that. I thought that was an excellent idea.
I did. I'm not sure if I told her or not. That wasn't part of the library, though. It wasn't part of the library board. It was just as a community member.
Okay.
So it wasn't really.
We tried to go through and find a consistent date and time for the puzzle swap, and it just worked out better for them to let us know when they wanted to use the room.
It actually moved to monthly behind the animal hospital right here on the corner, to the church back there. But yeah, we appreciate using the space.
Did you go to the one in Georgetown yet?
No, not yet. That's too far. Oh, the speed puzzle round.
Puzzle Palooza.
Yeah. But anyway, I just thought if we wanted as a board to present a couple ideas that we wanted to bring forth, we could have an agenda item on the thing to do so next month. Or in any month.
Mhm. Yeah. Anytime y'all have something that you want to see on the agenda, let me know. As you saw with Trista, there is a time limit though, so don't tell me at 3 o'clock on Friday that you want something on the next week's agenda. I can't do it that way. So.
Is it, it's 72 hours or 72 business hours?
No, it's 72 hours,
Oh, okay.
but they post at, they need it by 3 because they post at 5 on that Friday.
Okay,
Because
okay.
they're not here Saturday and Sunday.
Got it.
And actually, I get it to them, I get the draft to them on that Thursday because then it's got to be approved by this person and that person, and et cetera. So, yeah. I mean, technically, it's best if you get it to me at the beginning of the week before.
Sure.
But you can get it to me up to when they post, up to 3 o'clock on Friday, if it's something that's urgent that needs to go out there.
So my thought was, like, in the future, if we apply for the library board again, you can, when they ask that question, you can say, well, I'm really proud I introduced this to the library. So we'd have a response.
Yeah, and y'all work on the 5-year plan and you do the policies and stuff. I mean, it might be good also just to have an end of year, this is what we did sort of thing. I could pull that together to give when we submit the 5-year plan. So.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, meeting adjourned